There is a moment in life when you look around and realize nothing feels alive anymore. The routine, the same streets, the same conversations, the same four walls, it all starts to blur together like a photograph left too long in the rain. The edges fade, the colors bleed, and soon it feels like you are living in a world that has been drained of its vibrancy. That was my life. Until one morning, I decided to set it all on fire. Not literally, but in a way that would change me forever. I packed a single bag, grabbed my passport, and walked out of my door without knowing when or if I would ever come back. That was the day I left everything behind to see the world. The breaking point. It did not happen overnight. Change never really does. It was a slow, quiet burn, the kind of wear and tear you do not notice until one day the cracks in your life are too wide to ignore. Months of waking up and wondering if this was really all there was. The same alarm, the same walk to work, the same desk in a room filled with fluorescent light that made every face look pale and tired. A job that paid the bills but drained my soul. A social circle stuck in the same conversations, recycling the same weekend plans, talking about promotions, sales, and TV shows as if they were the most important things in the universe. Inside, I felt like a heart locked inside a cage. One evening, I caught my own reflection in the office elevator mirror, and for the first time, I barely recognized the person staring back. The spark was gone. My eyes looked older than my years. My posture was that of someone carrying an invisible weight. I was living, but not alive. That was the breaking point. I knew that if I stayed, I would turn into a ghost of myself. The decision. The decision was terrifying. Movies make it look glamorous, a rebellious leap into adventure. But the reality is standing in front of your boss and saying you are leaving without a backup plan. It is explaining to your parents that you are walking away from stability. Most people thought I was running away from my problems. Maybe I was. But deep down, I knew I was also running toward something, even if I did not yet know what it was. That night, I sat on my bed with my laptop open. My heart raced as I scrolled through flight options. I did not search for the cheapest or the most exotic. I just searched for something unknown. My cursor hovered over a destination I could barely pronounce. I clicked. When the confirmation email landed in my inbox, I felt a rush I had not felt in years. That was freedom, not the kind you read about in books, but the kind you can feel in your bones. The goodbye. Leaving everything behind is not just about quitting a job or selling your belongings. It is about peeling away a version of yourself you have worn for so long that you forgot you could take it off. I gave away most of my clothes. I donated my books, each one a small memory I was willing to let live somewhere else. I sold my car. I ended my apartment lease. Every item I let go of was like cutting one more chain. The morning of my departure, the city felt different. The air had a weight to it, a sense of finality. The same buildings, the same sidewalks, but they looked almost new, as if they knew I was about to leave and wanted to be remembered. I walked to the train station with my single backpack 15 kilograms, holding everything I now owned. No suitcases, no just-in-case boxes, just the essentials and a heart that was ready to risk everything. I did not look back. The first taste of the unknown. When I landed in my first destination, the world came at me all at once. The air smelled different, thick with spices, street food smoke, and a faint trace of sea breeze. The sounds were louder, layered, motorbikes weaving through traffic, street vendors calling out prices, laughter spilling from small cafes. Colors exploded everywhere, bright fabrics in shop windows, murals painted on crumbling walls, fruit stalls piled with oranges and mangoes. The language was foreign. I could not read the signs. I could not understand the conversations around me. And yet, for the first time in years, I felt more at home than I had in my own city. That night, I ate at a street stall, sitting on a plastic chair in the middle of a chaotic market. Around me, people moved like a river fluid, fast, full of life. No one knew my name. No one cared who I was. I was invisible, and it was liberating. Lessons from the road. Ravel teaches you more than any classroom ever could. I learned that comfort zones are silent prisons. You never know how small your world has become until you step outside it. I learned that strangers can become family in the span of a single conversation. I learned that money is not the only currency kindness. Trust and courage can take you further than any credit card. I learned to eat with my hands in India, to barter in Moroccan souks where the bargaining is half game and half tradition, to sleep under a sky so full of stars in the Sahara that I forgot cities even existed, and to ride a motorbike through the winding green mountains of Vietnam where every curve felt like the edge of the earth. Every country was a chapter. Every person was a sentence. Every moment was a word in the story I was writing with my own 2 feet. The fear factor. It was not always beautiful. There were nights I cried in cramped hostels because I missed home, days I wandered through cities lost, tired, and sunburned, unable to read a single sign. There were moments when I stood at an ATM, staring at my account balance and wondering if I had just made the worst financial decision of my life. There were times I sat in airports during delayed flights, wishing for something familiar. But here is the truth. Fear is not the enemy. Comfort is. Fear means you are stretching. It means you are standing in unfamiliar territory, and that is the only place where transformation happens. The people who change you. If I had stayed home, I never would have met the fisherman in Sri Lanka who invited me to his home for dinner. We sat cross-legged on the floor eating fresh crab while his children giggled at my clumsy attempt to use my hands instead of cutlery. I would never have met the old woman in Italy who taught me how to make pasta by hand, rolling the dough thin enough to see the sunlight through it. Or the bus driver in Peru who pulled over on a mountain road so I could take a picture of the Andes, a picture that still hangs on my wall today. These people were not just passing characters in my journey. They were living reminders that the world is still full of kindness, that beauty still exists in unexpected places, and that our differences are far smaller than the things we share. The shift. Somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like a tourist. Airports no longer felt like portals between home and away. Borders became invisible lines. My definition of home shifted from being a dot on a map to being a feeling I carried within me. The change was subtle but powerful. I was no longer chasing destinations to escape something behind me. I was seeking them to understand something ahead of me, and that understanding was changing me quietly, deeply, permanently. The day I realized I could not go back. After months of traveling, I returned briefly to my hometown for a family gathering. The streets were the same. The conversations were the same. The rhythm of life was unchanged, but I was not. I could not unsee the desert sunrise in Morocco. I could not unhear the midnight call to prayer echoing over Istanbul. I could not untaste the bowl of pho I had in a Hanoi alleyway at dawn. I had grown beyond the boundaries of the life I left. And once you have expanded like that, you cannot shrink back to fit the old shape, the ongoing journey. Today, years later, I am still traveling. Not because I am running from something, but because the world is too big, too beautiful, and too full of stories to stop now. I have learned that leaving everything behind is not about abandoning your life. It is about claiming it. It is about choosing to live deliberately, to seek out moments that make your heart race, and to collect experiences instead of possessions. The journey is not always easy. There are delays, disappointments, and days when nothing goes as planned, but it is always worth it. If you are listening to this and wondering whether you should take that leap, the answer is yes. Not because it will be simple, but because it will be real. If my story has lit even the smallest spark in you, do something about it. Maybe it is not quitting your job tomorrow or buying a one-way ticket, but take a step. Explore a street you have never walked down. Talk to a stranger. Say yes to something that scares you, because life is short, the world is wide, and the best stories begin the moment you decide you cannot wait any longer to live them. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another story. Who knows, maybe the next adventure we tell will be yours.